right, welcome back to our kitchen table conversations. Now, tonight, interest, credit, and strategies is going to blow your mind. So, I hope you guys enjoy this conversation. I hope it enlightens you as you make plans for your financial future. And as always, we just want to add value to our community by sharing this information with you all. So, when we're talking about interest, credit, and strategies, it's let's get a working definition of what that is. Because you all are probably like interest, credit, and strategy. The only thing I know about interest is when I'm getting charged interest that I'm having to pay on my credit cards or the interest on the loan. But there are credit and strategies that will give you interest that will help you grow your money. And so just for us to have a working definition, let's all pay attention to this definition. Interest, credit, and strategies, they determine how interest is calculated and applied to an account, commonly in annuities and life insurance policies. Yes, I said annuities, and I know you all may be cringing right now because annuities, they do have a bad rap, but annuities will have their place in your portfolio as you diversify. And so these strategies, they impact how much your money grows over time. And like we've discussed previously, wealth is built over time. And that's why you are tuning in and to these conversations to help you build your wealth over time. Anything is worth having, it's you definitely have to invest the time in it. So I'm really excited that you guys are just committing yourself to tune in for this 20 to 25 minutes to learn about how you can continue to build and grow your wealth. So when we're looking at interest, credit, and strategies, there are several types of interest, credit, and strategy. The first one we're going to look into is a fixed interest crediting. And this earns a predetermined interest rate set by the insurer, and it provides stability and predictability with growth. So if you're the type of person you have to be in control, you need to know A from Z, this is kind of your lane. And it's ideal for the conservative investor looking for a guaranteed returns. But that guarantee and having to be in control, it comes at a cost where you're locked into that. And we'll look at some examples shortly. As we shared with you guys earlier, when we compared simple versus compound interest, it helps you understand how your money will grow. So simple interest is calculated only on the initial principal, but compound interest is calculated on both the principal and previous earned interest, leading to a faster growth over time. And so when you're looking for accounts, you want to ask, well, will I get credited by simple interest or will it be compounding? Because I heard compounding is faster, right? So definitely make sure that you're asking those questions. And just an example of that, most first time home buyers or they really it really brings it home when they look and they paid into their mortgage for 5 years and then they discover, oh, it's my principal is still high. Why is that? Why is that is because first mortgage payments done, 90% goes towards the interest and only 10% towards that principal. And so having a strategy where you can get this working for you is very important. Another type of interest crediting strategy is an index interest crediting. And so this is a strategy that's tied to a stock market index like the S&P 500, but it's not directly invested in the market. It mirrors the market. And so with this strategy, if the market makes a correction and goes south, your money, you do not lose your principal or the previous earned interest. Zero becomes your hero. You may not make money that year, but you do not lose. And they use formulas like point to point, a monthly averaging, or high water mark to determine the gains with this with this type of index interest crediting. And often it includes a cap or a participation rate or even a spread that affects how much of the index growth you receive. And so speaking of those participation rates and caps, participation rates determines how much of the index gain you'll receive. For example, if the market gains 10% and your participation rate is 80%, then you'll get 8% of that gain. And if you have a cap rate, the cap rate limits how much you can earn. An example of that is if your cap is at 6% and the market gained 10%, you will only receive that 6%. But that's still better than most high interest savings, right? And then when we're looking at a spread or a margin rate, that's a percentage that's deducted from the index gain before applying the interest credit. And examples, if the spread is 2% and the index grows by 8%, your credited interest would be 6%. And so each strategy has its pros and cons depending on your risk tolerance and your financial goals. There is not a one size fit all, so you definitely want to make sure that you're talking to a professional like a financial advisor or an insurance agent. And always, we're here for you at OIC 10K, so feel free to reach out to us. You can respond to our YouTube channel, our public Facebook channel as well, or visit our website at oic10k.com. But to determine if you're looking for growth or protection when you are looking into what interest credit that you're going to utilize to build your wealth over time, you can either focus on the growth, the protection, or have both of both worlds and have that balance of both. And so to give you a better understanding, we're going to look at two stories, two scenarios. And these relatable stories will kind of help bring it more to light for you. We're going to highlight the pros and the cons of the different interest crediting strategies in action. So the first story, we're going to compare the safe saver versus the market rider, that risk taker. And then the second story we'll review tonight is the power of compounding versus the simple growth. Are you ready? So our first scenario, here we have Linda and Mark. And so remember, we're comparing a saver to a market rider, someone who has an appetite to take risks, but their risks are calculating. So both Linda and Mark invest $100,000 into an annuity. Yeah, that's that annuity word, but it has its place in your portfolio. Depends on what your financial goals are and your the outcome that will help you and your family go to that next level. So Linda chooses a fixed interest crediting strategy with a guaranteed 4% return, while Mark selects an index strategy with an 80% participation rate and a 6% cap linked to the market. So we're going to follow them for 3 years to see how their accounts perform using their own preferred strategy. So the first year, the market grows by 12%. So Mark's index strategy, due to his cap, which we talked about earlier, sets those limits, it's only credit 6%. So he receives a $6,000 gain. That's awesome, right? While Linda gets her fixed 4%. So she has a low risk tolerance and she just wants that guaranteed. So she receives $4,000 her gain for the first year. And within the first year, Mark is ahead. Well, let's move to year 2. The market crashes by a negative 10%. Let's see if Mark's affected by that. So Mark annuity has a 0% floor. he doesn't lose any money, not his principal or the money that he gained in the previous year. So he earns nothing in the second year because the market crashed that year with the negative 10%. And Linda, she still gets her guaranteed 4% growth. So now Linda is ahead. And so, following them up until the third year, the market rebounds by 8%. Mark receives 6.4% because he has an 80% of the growth and the added 6,400, while Linda gets another 4%. And that year, her gain is 4,160. So just comparing those two individuals within those 3 years, Linda winds up in the third year, her fixed growth is $112,486 and it's steady and predictable, 4% every year. Now, Mark, because he's using a different strategy on the third year, Mark index growth is $112,400, right? But it has a higher potential because he has that opportunity to get the 6% plus his some of his participation rate. So the moral of this story is fixed interest provides stability and making it ideal for those who prefer predictability and steady growth. Index strategies offer us upside potential, but may result sometimes in a zero growth when markets underperform. But your principal and the money that you grew in the previous years is protected. So that's our first scenario. Now let's look at our second one. Here we have David and Sandra. Both invest $50,000 in an account earning 5% annually. David's account earns simple interest while Sandra's account compounds annually. And so we're looking at the outcome over a 10-year period. Since David has simple interest, his 50,000 grows to 75,000. But Sandra's compound interest, her 50,000 grows to be 81,000 within the 10 years. And so simple interest is straightforward, but it's less powerful over time. And we know that we build wealth over time. And so we definitely need to use the right strategy to help us build that wealth. But compounding interest accelerates growth, right? By earning interest on the interest. The longer you save, the bigger the gap. So the takeaways is that your choice of interest, credit, and strategy, it depends on your risk tolerance. There is no one size fit all. And then you also need to consider your financial goals. Are you like a Linda who prefers security? Or are you like a Mark who takes calculated risk for higher potential returns? Or do you want David's simple, predictable earnings or Sandra's power of compounding? And so you really want to ask yourself which strategy aligns with your financial vision. We have a special guest tonight that I'm going to ask just to give us more insight with how interest, credit, and strategy can help us build wealth. So I'm going to bring on our special guest, Mr. John Robinson.
All right, all right. Good evening. Can you
Can
hear
you?
me loud and clear?
Yes, we can
Do I,
hear you.
do I have an echo?
No.
Good. Great job talking about interest credit and strategies. I'm excited about that. And I'm glad that you're able to present this in such a simple and easy to understand way. Great examples when you did the last two examples and takeaway. And I'm just sharing my screen here, or you're sharing it, which is great. Are you sharing? I'm not sharing. Okay,
I'm
I
sharing.
think you're sharing. Excellent. Well, listen. I just wanted people to take a look at this slide because we have to get accustomed of seeing these kind of things. If you got a 401k and you go online and look at it, you may see a pie chart like this. We need to start getting used to looking at this kind of stuff. And with what Eric has been talking about, this ought to make it a little bit easier to absorb. When you first look at it, it's like it's Greek or some other foreign language. But once you get the basic information that we're putting out, this is going to make more sense to you. Go to the next slide, please. In this next slide, once you hit that a couple more times, this is pretty, there you go. It's pretty simple. There are things that you got to save for. And we really believe that retirement is all about savings. But we do believe you should invest. You should invest to have a chance at a better life. And understanding how the interest works and understanding the different instruments that we have that we can use, it'll make it easier for us to make decisions based on what our family goals are, our personal goals are. So saving is all about income and discipline. You're making money. And listen, if you're making money, you want to make more money every year. Why? Because inflation is every year. So if you're not increasing your income, then your buying power, your lifestyle, affordability, all of that is going to suffer. So you've got to make more money. We got to get it in our minds. We got to increase our income every year. But as you have income and more income, then you want to put some away and you want to discipline yourself to do that. And I'm not talking about putting your money in the bank and getting 0.5% interest. There are great places that you can save your money for long term with great interest in a protected environment, like business director Erica was talking about in the index environment. And then investments. I believe investments is spelled RISK. You got to be able to deal with the risk, right? And the type of investment is going to be, it should be based on your risk tolerance. Me, I have no tolerance for losing money. So I don't want certain type of investment, but I want other types of investments. So Erica was talking about annuities. And like anything in life, there's always misinformation out there. It's like eating. A lot of people believe eating is a great thing. Me too. But you can't live for eating because that'll kill you. You live for eating, then you get into gluttony, and then you're in trouble. Everything within balance has to be done. So go to the next slide, Erica. I want to show you guys, give you an example about common annuities. Oh, I'll tell you what, let me share because I don't think you can access that slide. And I got it right here. So there we go. Right. Can y'all see my slide?
Yes, we can see it.
All right. So let me move this out the way. Here we go. So yes, investments is all about risk tolerance. The good thing is you can save your money and put it to work in a safe environment like the index environment. But let's look at this other slide. Surprise, surprise. People say, I don't like annuities. Well, let me give you an example of some very common annuities. How about your Social Security check? Like that, if you're getting a Social Security check, that's an annuity. Okay? I mean, if you have a pension, especially if you have a defined benefit pension program, that is based on an annuity. That's an annuity. And so annuities are great, but there are different types of annuities also. And we must get the right information on whatever instrument that we're looking at. Always bad information runs faster than good information. How many of y'all know that? Oh, I heard about this restaurant. This happened. The restaurant been open for 10 years, and this is the first time you heard one thing, but all of a sudden everything is bad. It can't be. Everybody has a bad day every now and then. But the thing about it is getting the right information is key to anything that we want to do. And so that's why here at OIC 10K, we're excited about bringing this information to you, to the community, free of charge. We're excited about sharing this great information. And we have excellent teachers and associates like Ms. Erica Bach that just takes her time and puts that information out there clearly, concisely, and in an excellent manner. So thanks again for doing that. Hey guys, we invite you guys to come on back next Tuesday and Thursday. But I'm not going to do the job of the host. I'm going to let the host get back in there and do his job. And or maybe I do the job of the host. But yeah, we're excited about you guys joining us. We do this every Tuesday and Thursday. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we are here for you. And let me